coming. In the next part of our program, I'm excited to welcome David. To start with David Bruce. David, are you with us?
You bet.
Oh, where are you? There you go. Nice to see you, David. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for sharing your expertise. So just quickly, what's your take on this morning, David, from your perspective representing so many independent planners?
Well, I don't know how I follow with Trina and John. I think both of them have put on a superb program and filled in the independent quite well on where we are and how to go about going forward.
You know, for the people who are listening who might not be familiar with your organization, can you share a little bit about your mission and the membership and what it's all about?
Sure. The Alliance of Independent Meeting Professionals is really four things. One, we're an organization that's trying to teach best practices to the independent planner and come up with standardization on certain aspects that help all these individual businesses that are out there with some kind of cohesive voice, if you will. We're also here to improve profit margins. You know, things have changed in the last 2 years with the implementation of the 7% in some hotel chains. It has caused our members quite a bit of grief, and we've tried to come up with different ways for them to be able to make up those differences, and in some cases make far more than the 10% that was originally offered.
Right. It's a real shift in the business model moving forward, and I think that, you know, that is part of our, you know, again, we're not, what does John say, not new normal, the new reality, right? And because in the scheme of things, with so many people being hit hard with this, independent planners are among the hardest hit segments in this crisis. What are you hearing in terms of members being able to salvage business and moving on later in the year or into 21? Is it like, what options are your and creative choices are your members making, or feedback that they're giving you?
Well, there are some that have decided to sell more virtual meetings. Certainly, that was a discussion we had yesterday in our meeting that we have every other week or so. Mm-hmm. Is talking about how to move those people into a different world for right now.
Right, because planning a virtual meeting, such as this one, this is a virtual conference.
Exactly.
Takes just as much effort and planning and production value, and of course, depending on the complexity of your meeting. In our March 23rd program, Map Digital, Marianne Pierce brought her platform, which is an extremely powerful and robust. It gives you the ability for so much, and so, you know, and Zoom, which we're using this week. So it's giving us a new world of choices. When, as planners, when we move on, we need to identify what the meeting's needs are. Was that in your discussion?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And certainly that's an area to look at. And the problem comes is, you know, the way we get paid, you know, is hotel wise. And with virtual, it becomes a whole different ballgame. It becomes a percentage, if you will, different than if you're bringing them onto property. And really, that's really the key is how do we go from here? What as John said, you know, what is the new?
Right.
What are we going to be experiencing in the third and fourth quarter? Is it going to be any different next year? And I think that's really where what the discussion is today, and how do you go about pricing out that hotel in September that was a 5-star in February? Is it going to be a 5-star or 5 diamond in September
Right.
if we reopen?
Right. We don't know that. Now, from what we heard this morning with Trina, do you see this, excuse me, the stimulus bill as enough to keep some of your members' business going, or what reactions have you heard from them? Anything?
I hope that the IRS and the government come up with some way to put a line item on your taxes that show the losses that you're experiencing over this period of time. Being that we can't tax something you didn't get,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a question, that whether or not the government puts in some kind of casualty loss that helps out those businesses who may get a little money from the government, may get a lot of money from the government, but doubtful that they're going to make up that complete loss that they're going through right now.
Right.
So it would be nice to be able to back that off, the monies you do get, and be able to use that in a line item on the taxes as a business loss.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of speculation going on with that, right? What do you offer to your member companies, for example, who have no business booked for the year? I mean, did you discuss maybe special task forces, or just what came up this morning, if there's an increase in independent planners, your association, MPI, I mean, there's certainly room for more than one, but what power, like what can they control moving forward? Did you discuss anything changing?
I don't know what the words, what can they control? As an independent planner, you're
Right.
always wanting to control everything you're doing.
Right.
And in this case, if they only had business in March, April, and May, and they didn't have business in June, July, August, September, October, etc.,
Hard to say, right?
they need to relook at their business model
Yeah.
and try to decide what to do from here.
Yeah.
However, I put out 3 leads in the last week of a brand new business. One is a brand new client. So it's not like it doesn't exist, and it isn't like we're not moving forward from here. We're not booking business in March, April, May right now anyway.
Right.
So we're dealing with the future. And
Right.
that's the thing that all independents deal with is what are we going to do later, not now.
Now, what role, what role do you think the organization can take, or your members can take, between the hotels? Like, what will the new relationship be between hotels and independents, and how do you think it will change when we're on the other side of this?
Well, I think it's going to be many-fold. I think to start with, the hotel community for the last upteen years has had that pendulum so far to the right, we'll say, record volumes. They've made the contracts much more difficult. They've made the contracting process that much more difficult. And the question comes is what happens now when the pendulum has swung to record levels to the left, and the hotels are now having to search for new business.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to react to the industry? Because right now, the relationship has been so damaged over the last couple of years by the difference in commissions, by the way the hotels have acted and have portrayed themselves, if you will, that I think there's going to be a lot of mending having to be done. The hotel quality isn't going to be what it was when we started this. Everybody realizes that. So the pricing can't be in that same category.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a lot to do here. You know, we've always said, what happens when that pendulum goes the other way? Well, nobody expected it to go all the way to where it is. And now the hotels, a lot of these salespeople aren't going to come back.
Right.
You know, they may be furloughed now. They may find other industries. They may decide to become independent planners. They may decide whatever they may do.
Right. I think that's what Jonathan was bringing up, right? That shifting landscape and what we can do. So I think, you know, within a group like yours and with an alliance like yours, there's an opportunity to maybe collaborate with people and say, you know, what can we contribute based on our resources, on our talents, and our skills moving forward when things change. And does that change the mission at all, or is that coming up, like the mission and the you know, just the whole philosophy of the association? Do you see that changing?
I don't believe it changes the philosophy at all, because that's what we've always wanted.
Yeah.
We wanted to get away from that transactional attitude that we've been dealing with for the last 10, 12 years in some chains. And the fact that now we're going to have to work together to be able to do what's right for the client, what's right for the independent, and what's right for the hotel and the community. I think these are new times, and those properties who have taken that, who have been our partners through this process, especially the last 2 years, I think they're the ones who are going to gain the most out of this moving forward.
Right. Well, listen, that's what we all come back to, and we've heard it every time we've spoken with people, is it's the combination of your relationship and how much communication you keep up. So David, is there anything you'd like to share with us? I think yeah, I think that I've asked you a few questions that I personally was curious on, and someone did comment or ask a question on which industry lobbying groups are working on our behalf. I can say all of them under the Event Industry Council have been USTA, I know. Is there anything you know that you might want to contribute into that, David?
Well, honestly, every organization is reaching out. We're reaching out to the legislators across the country and explaining to them, you know, there is not a single county in the United States that isn't affected by tourism.
Right.
And this is the time where the government really needs to step up and help all of us. And independents are a unique breed. I mean, I don't even think we fall in very well with the PPP, and I don't believe we fall in very well in some of the other categories, because our losses have become astronomical as a group. And I think you're going to see some people not make it through this process from an independent standpoint. I think you'll see people who are used to giving up part of their income for their companies look to go to a more individualized program and increase their funds that way. The industry is going to change through all of this. And John made it very clear that we may not do meetings the way we've always done meetings. How do you fill a plane when you're sitting next to a guy, you know, that's touching you? I mean, there's no 6-foot rule. you'd only have a sixth of the playing field.
Well, maybe you have like a 6 mm rule, but
Yeah.
but yeah, well, that's a really good point. Well, look, there's a lot of there's a lot of unknowns, and there's no doubt that the landscape that we know is going to change. People who are independents now may go to work for a company, and vice versa, and we're all in a renaissance, and where we emerge is yet to be determined. But thank you so much for joining us today, David, and good luck to all of your members and to all of the independents out there. Moving on, thank you. And so